So, yeah, Pume does go for the Shank, but Blackwoltz has actually dropped down to his Persians pick. So he is going to be able to save the Shank for later in the series. And Highland still one of the relatively more open maps. But normally we do prefer, personally I prefer to see Persians on the Sahara and Oasis style maps, which we did have Sahara in the map pool. But still, Persians can still put up a fight, although against the Shank it's going to be a little bit difficult. Pume, don't think he's going to be able to interrupt the pool there. Blackwoltz does just settle for the single elephant. Neither player went to... Oh, no, the block doesn't quite come in. And is Pume actually going to see this third elephant here? Or fourth elephant, I guess, if you count that as the third. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he does. So Pume is probably, if he doesn't drop aggro, going to be able to get 3 elephant start here, which is obviously... Ooh. Okay. Hopefully he doesn't just take the 1. Hopefully he knows there should be 2 in the middle of the map. Yeah, okay, there we go. Oh, his villager's taking a couple of whacks. He's got 30 seconds for a re if this villager dies. Is he going to try? Oh, he's using the artifact nicely to just get a little bit of space there. But yeah, already, as long as his villager doesn't die, of course, it's already going to be a nice advantage for Pume in the early game here. Blackwoltz being denied a little bit of his civ bonus of that the first faster working hunters. Has farmed one of his own elephants, the elephant on the south side there. And he does see his gazelle, which he probably will need to push at some point. Villager does make it back home without dying, so jobs. Ooh, actually, Blackwoltz lost a villager. Wait, what? When did that happen? It's already happened at this point. When did that? He didn't just lose his villager in the elephant. I'm amazed he didn't call a restart on that. Was this Will? I will get back to live in a sec. I was just confused. Yeah, he just I must have been paying attention to the center of the map at that time. I'm a little bit surprised he didn't call a restart on that because he got denied the central elephants and lost a villager. But I'll just do a little bit of ×2 speed, just trying us back up to live again. I just wanted to see what had happened there. So, I mean, it's doubly in favor of Pume now. Blackwoltz definitely quite behind in this early game. Pit's next to the gazelle. A little bit away from the stone. It wasn't quite conveniently placed enough for that to really be a good placement. Blackwoltz actually lames an elephant. He had the forward villager and it's chosen, you know what, I'm having that elephant. Swipes the elephant out from under the nose of... why didn't Blackwoltz... I'm sorry, I'm going to go for a little replay again there. Why didn't Pume just grab this on the way back? Like, why did... Like, when he came back from the set... I guess that villager already had damage on it when he was bringing it home and he just didn't want to risk it. But, I mean, this does mean that the potential forward from Blackwoltz is now no longer the threat. Blackwoltz builds his barracks at home instead. Barracks going up in the middle of the map for Pume. And as the Shank, he's going to get... He's got 19 villagers, 28 seconds idle TC time. It's going to be up about 30-ish seconds, 36 seconds ahead of his opponent. Axe are already coming in. And barracks on his opponent's face. Does he have a barracks at... Where is he researching Axa? Oh, it is on there. For some reason it's not glowing. Normally it glows when it's researching a tech. But a couple of villagers coming forward as well. So villagers on the face getting involved as as well. The armor upgrade is not in for the axe, but another villager does go down. And Blackwoltz kind of a little bit of a slow reaction there. Obviously, only one of these units is actually an axeman, so not a huge threat. But yeah, needlework got researched straight away. Another villager did go down though. I'm not sure what Pume is doing with the additional villagers there. So that was a little bit of an interesting one. I mean, these villagers have slipped into the backside of the base now. So potentially you can just put down another, like, potentially an archery range or something like that in his opponent's base. And what do these have? So it's market going up at home. So that's not anything to do with military. But yeah, these couple... It's a very, very strange rush from Pume here. I think he's still in a fairly decent position. He's a couple, yeah, 3 villas. Well, I'm not going to say that. He's going to lose these 2 villas. So there's only really like 1 villa up at this point, to be honest. But, I mean, well, I was going to say, yeah, he's in a solid position, but actually it's pretty even. Blackwoltz has managed to get himself walled in. It's not quite walled on the top side here, but villager going to be able to, yeah, click wall just to make sure no shenanigans go on and then finish it off properly. I guess Pume's done some decent scouting, you could argue, if there's anything to be done of this. But yeah, the axes are going to get denied. I'm fairly sure Blackwoltz, yeah, it's all tied up there. Although if he doesn't cover this quick, the axes could punch through one of the walls. He needs to be careful with the villager hit. Blackwoltz. Ooh, okay, no, yeah. Bit of a mistake there by Blackwoltz. The villager is very slightly faster than the axeman, as much as it grieves me to say that. So he may be able to just run away, but the axes are in. But there are plenty of bowmen in response. I think this attack isn't going to get too much done here. Yeah, a little bit sloppy by Blackwoltz there. The villager is going to go back up and finish the job. But yeah, I think all these axes are just going to get picked off. There's not really anywhere for them to go now. So, bit of resources down the drain for Pume, but all this time he has been setting himself up at home. He is obviously the shank, so he still has the cheaper villager bonus, whereas the early hunt bonus is, I guess he just ran that 1 more elephant, so a little bit more extra food coming in there. But the eco bonus of the Persians starting to fade off at this point now. But Blackwoltz does have a 2 villager lead, so like 1.5 villager-ish lead, I guess, and a military lead to boot. So he's not in a bad position, has quite maybe a little bit too much wood at the moment, just needs to transition some more of those villagers onto the farms, as and when he can do. Well, he can do it right now, I guess. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, so maybe his eco just a little bit more advanced at this point, but yeah, just a villager less at this point. Woodworking coming in for Blackwoltz is going to obviously help out his bowman, as well as just wood collection. And he is, I don't know if that was a misclick or he does just want to get a little bit of extra stone down to, yeah, just to secure up the base. Okay, just to make sure he does have everything properly walled up. So just nice, safe, secure play by Blackwoltz. Like I said, a couple of small little errors here and there, but otherwise fairly solid. And it looks like the early game shenanigans, yeah, again, I'm not exactly sure what Pume was doing with the villagers forward. I don't know if that was a misclick or he just lost track of where he was or what happened there. Pume maybe could have got a little bit more damage done there than he ended up doing. But in the end, I think the early game has slightly favoured Blackwoltz. And the ranged units pushing out now. A couple of the slingers just having a quick nosy from Pume as well. Probably not going to get too much done, but yeah, 800 food is in for Pume now, so he is going to be the first to click to the Bronze Age. And where do we go from here? So is it going to... Yeah, there's a few villages on gold, so potentially a few just early cavalry units out from Pume. But Both players are fully walled, so it may be the case that some extra, some siege is going to be needed. It'll be interesting to see if Blackwoltz can pick off a few villages on the wood line here. So he doesn't quite see what we see. This is all he sees at the moment. Let's see the chopped wood now, though. And is he going to go for the bait? Obviously, Pume is only house walled here still. It doesn't feel safe enough to finish off the other house. And yeah, built a house further back. Domestication coming in from Blackwoltz. It's always, I always like question this because this does not help your existing farm. So this doesn't really do anything. It's kind of a little bit of a waste of resources at this point. But as I say that, Pume does exactly the same tech. You either want to research that before you put up all the farms, or like sometime into the Bronze Age when your farms are about to run out in your next wave. I guess a couple of the farms are a little bit low here, so it's maybe get some value soon. House is going to get pushed through. And actually, despite the fact we're getting gold, we don't actually have a stable yet from Pume, so the cavalry are not going to hit the map. One villager does go down, but the gate does go up in time. We can't punch through here. And archery range still just the choice. Wheel is coming in. I'm not really sure why we've gone for gold here, as we're not researching or building any buildings for stuff that requires gold. Maybe it was for anticipating moving on to siege, but we have a couple of villagers going down. But these bowmen are going to get huge value here, just because it's going to take a while for Pume to get any real response on the field. One of the biggest advantages of the cavalry is you can build them instantly as soon as you hit the Bronze Age, assuming you have that stable. And extra TCs coming up from Pume. It's a pretty greedy approach when his opponent is breathing down his neck here. Not a very sensible response, I feel, from Pume in this early Bronze Age. A lot of villagers on stone. I think that's just automatically from finishing the TC. Villagers just go for the nearest thing. Villagers are going to be forced idle here, though, and town bell being run. That's always a bad sign, boys and girls. And he thinks comp is just wood and gold, but he's not even researching comp. Oh, do you mean CA? Right. But yeah, first wave of CA does come out, so they should be able to clear this up now. But like, arguably, these tool age units have done way more than they should have ever been able to at this point. They've already done their job. The literal cavalry is about to arrive. The base is still open. And maybe that's, yeah, Blackwoltz is probably just going to try and secure this opening to try and prevent any villagers from clogging this up again. And these cavalry are getting very distracted. Hopefully Blackwoltz notices that and starts bringing the units forward again. But yeah, very clumsy early Bronze Age here from Pume. He does have at least a +2 armor on these chariots. The cavalry are tanky enough that they can just ignore the archer fire for the number he has at the moment. Potentially can pick up a couple of those. Temple going up now from Pume, which is a fairly good response against the cavalry. But yeah, they're still going to be able to get some damage done as another village is going to get caught off there. Just about. Looks like Blackwoltz sort of ran away. Next wave of cavalry is coming forward now, and it looks like Blackwoltz it's just going to come in through the wood. I was going to say it's going to get denied by the walls there, but yeah, Pume spots that now. A little bit of an overchop. Cavalry still being absolute menace on the wood line there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 villagers. And yeah, 14 vill kills now for Blackwoltz, and 88 vills for his elf now. He's on 6 TCs. And I mean, we're on to 12 chariot archers. So Pume does still have the military edge for the time being, but Blackwoltz has double the eco at this point. So Pume would need to clear up his base and then get some sort of massive push now. So yeah, he's cleaned up his base. I don't know what's this. There's a scout in the corner of the map. Yeah, nearly 100 vills already for Blackwoltz. And a small gate being built there. That's a little bit awkward, but I guess it kind of works. But yeah, Pume needs to somehow get as much damage as possible done, like almost immediately, really, to have any hopes of staying in this game. There are gaps in the wall. Oh no, actually there is 2 trees stumps still there. And Compy, well, improved bow for the time being, but presumably Compy to follow up is going to be teched into by Blackwoltz. That unit, obviously, if you can mass it up, does do quite nicely into the Chariot Archer. But again, I think Pume needs to try and not get distracted by this cavalry and try and hit in the heart. And yeah, Blackwoltz just trying to buy himself time to get the unit transition. Maybe we'll be able to get some damage on the wood line now for Pume though. A couple of villagers going to go down. Blackwoltz does notice soon enough. Like I said, he has villagers to spare arguably at this point. 122 villagers already. And those Chariot Archers going to take a very long time to try and break through the walls. And again, Blackwoltz managing to slip in. Pume hasn't properly sealed off his base yet. The cavalry probably won't get too much done, but like for every villager Blackwoltz kills, Pume needs to kill like 3 at this point, so it's tough. Cavalry coming round. +4 armor still isn't in for Pume. He's actually going for urbanization to just free up a bit more pop space. Medium wall and now composite bowman nearly in. Only 5 on the field at the moment. And yeah, a few too many vills on wood again. So we need to try and sort out his economy soon. So Pume still has a little bit of pressure in terms of the military count, but I think this should be fairly soon matched by Blackwoltz. With that said, this is a little bit clumsy by both players, really. Units out of position, now they're engaging. Yeah, Pume could really have benefited from the +4 armor against these cavalry. Obviously, it's not going to do anything against the compies, so I guess you could argue maybe it was worth holding off now that Blackwoltz is transitioning. I think, yeah, there's still no nobility in for either player, I believe. As we see a little bit of crossfire here. I think Blackwoltz is making a little bit of a mistake of fighting before he's got his units maxed up there, taking a few more losses than he really needs to. One priest is just chilling back at home, probably not going to be very useful now that the compies are on the field. That said, Blackwoltz still is making cavalry, he's mixing that in. 65 vills on food now though. And just the arsenalship for +2 range on the bows. There are a few chariots causing havoc at the back there, just stop with the villager that was trying to get extra archery ranges up. Arguably there's already a pretty good number of archery ranges at this point. We'll zoom in for this bit of the battle here. And again, I feel like Blackwoltz may be committing to a fight a little bit too early. A lot of the chariot archers getting distracted by the cavalry though. And Pume doing a good job of just keeping the pump going for now, and still, for the time being, has the numbers advantage. But again, Blackwoltz is going to be able to click to Iron Age as soon as he has his second building from this age up. Looks like he doesn't actually, maybe he doesn't realise. He's okay, actually just committed to making more units for the time being. Nobility finally coming in. And again, I feel like +4 would do Pume quite nicely, and nobility as well. Maybe a little bit late for those techs. Stone throwers coming forward. And again, Pume still applying a good amount of pressure. But Blackwoltz with whole bunch of resources in the bag. Still needs to make that second building. So if he wants to go everything, too many vills on wood still. Stone thrower needs to be defended really. And Pume could just add in a handful of camels to try and help deal with the cavalry here. Cavalry should be able to get some decent damage done now, again just because that +4 armor is not in. But they're still, yeah, able to kite back. And finally Blackwoltz does click to Iron Age. And somehow Pume's doing a lot better in this game than I feel like he should be. Blackwoltz again just not really getting control of his eco properly. Trying to defend the stone throw. I think that is going to go down. Yeah, cavalry do fight it off. I think Pume's mistake here again, oh well, another mistake potentially. I don't want to be too critical, but yeah, probably should have added in maybe like the camel or something just to help deal with these cavalry. +4, still not in. Iron Age coming in for Pume as well. 160 vills for Blackwoltz. 3,000 food in the bank. Obviously, this would be pretty nice if he was a civilization that could make chariots, but he is not. So we'll see how he's going to play this in the Iron Age. Is he going to try and switch into elephant units? He's not making... Okay. Researching bronze shields. Hopefully he doesn't think that you need iron shield to unlock the armored elephant. Is what I'm thinking now. Because you did used to have iron shield in to be able to upgrade to armored elephant back in the day. Although he's researching armor for the elephant now, so I guess maybe that was just, I don't know. But yeah, so we are going to go into the armored elephant and cataphract as well on the heavy cavalry for the time being. I'd like to see a few more villagers off wood and on gold, although that's the only gold patch you see. I guess he needs to try and get control of the map more. A lot of the compies do go down. His cavalry going to be a lot more difficult for Pume to deal with once that heavy cavalry wins in, because they get that extra pierce armor, which is very important against the other range units. Heavy cavalry of his own for Pume. Obviously, the Shang get the faster attacking cavalry. So actually the Shang do have the stronger cavalry line than the Persians do. Conscription coming in as well. So all the techs coming in. Obviously Blackwoltz has had a big eco advantage for some time now. And elephants is not a unit you very regularly get to see in 1v1s. But this game has gone quite long. And neither player... Ooh, actually, I say that. I was going to say major demand to break through, but these heavy cavalry are probably going to be able to do a decent amount of damage here. Heavy cavalry nearly in for Pume. And it looks like Blackwoltz just clearing up the front of his base. Armored Elephant is now in. And focusing down a farm for some reason. Priest going to try and get conversion. I think it's just going to die. So that priest that's been chilling all game is unfortunately no longer with us. And yeah. Pume is going to be able to clean up his base. But here come the elephants. Yeah, priest in production for Pume. I think that's probably a good shout to try and convert some of these elephants. These Persian elephants are fairly speedy, though. Be quite frightening. Cataphract upgrade coming in for Pume now as well. And obviously, Pume on the Shang does have the advantage that if the game does stretch out, he can just go for the chariot units, but huge number of elephants flooding forward now. And again, I'm not really sure why we're going for the pierce armor upgrades. They don't do anything for the elephants, so that's a little bit confusing. A little bit of wasted resources there. But yeah, these elephants getting some good damage and still just +2 armor on these chariot archers here. But yeah, armored elephants just absolutely bulldozing their way through the front of the base now. And the priests are now out, but okay, a couple of them do have a conversion available. So Pume just needs to get those priests doing something. GG's called though. And Blackwoltz obviously in a pretty commanding position that entire time just because of the eco. And yeah, like I said, some questionable decisions and plays from Pume. And there are 2 sort of waterish maps in the draft, so maybe he felt like he had to use the Yamato for one of these sort of mixed maps anyway. Rather unusually, there's actually quite a large pool of water in the middle of the map here, which actually has a not insignificant amount of fish in there. Be interesting to see if that does get contested at any point. Blackwoltz going for the storage pit on the shoreline straight away, so that's going to double up nicely on the wood and the fish. Maybe a small bit of idle TC time in. I think he may get a little bit extra. I know he does get it in, so only 6 seconds, that's quite nice. Pume going for just the classic berry start, not wanting to risk going to the shore. Wouldn't have had quite a nice place. I guess maybe you could have put a storage pit here, but you'd have to have done a little bit more exploration to find that. But I'm sure we'll see docks. Well, I was going to say from both players, but potentially Pume could try and go for something on the land. It's one of the reasons Yamato are just such a strong sim, is they have so many good bonuses for multiple different maps they can play, and they can play the game in many different ways. And an elephant has been found by Pume. He's just doing a little bit of extra exploration, finds an extra berry patch for his troubles. Probably, maybe not too relevant, it's a little bit far out of his base. Does drop aggro, finds it again though, that's fine. And let's have a look, see. Okay, pretty early dock. Actually, dock out from both players. Sometimes some players often go for a little bit of a safer approach of sort of waiting to put the dock down after they've clicked tool age, just so it leaves them a little bit less vulnerable to a potential rush on the land. But both players going probably for a slightly longer stone age now, just because you're going to be committing those extra resources to getting on the water. And Pume just going to get that villager doing a little bit of fishing, gathering up at the dock. And yeah, extra couple of fishing boats in for Blackwoltz. There's obviously cheaper docks and cheaper boats, a little bit more easy for him to be able to afford those, whereas Pume is a little bit short on wood still. Yamato do get the more efficient fishing boats when they are out in the field, but arguably the Minoan bonus of just being able to get more boats out is stronger in some ways. And let's see here. So like I said, we're going to be a little bit ways off clicking tool for both players for quite a while. I think if I was in Pume's shoes, I would have been considering trying to go for an aggressive play on the land, just because in the later phases of the game it's very hard to contest the Minoans with how strong their water bonuses are, which they are a little bit susceptible to raids early on if you can get a very good rush in. Interesting that Blackwoltz is using his fishing boat to do a bit of exploration, and I feel like that's something I've not seen many players do. They normally wait to get to the tool age and get a scout ship out, but Blackwoltz being quite diligent, doing a little bit more exploration, and I think he will be able to find his opponent's dock with this, as we do see tool age click for both players now. 23 vils each, and just a couple more fishing boats out for Blackwoltz, so there's slight lead there, and he does find his opponent's dock now. Obviously Pume is probably going to spot this as well, so he knows that he knows. Actually, what is that villager on the wood line? What's he doing there? Maybe another storage pit planning to go up here. Looks like it's a dock for now. But, it's very slightly faster to the tool age for Pume, but not an amount that could be really called that significant. And yeah, Blackwoltz really committing to the fish boom. This does potentially leave him a little bit vulnerable. Okay, I was going to say if he keeps making fishing boats, it'll leave him a little bit vulnerable to early scout ships coming out. But Blackwoltz is going to be able to spot the aggression before it comes out if he keeps this fishing boat here. So this is quite nice to see. One thing, obviously, you could choose to just patrol that boat backwards and forwards if you wanted to. Now it looks like we're going exploring again. Can fishing boats capture artifacts? Yes, they can. I would have thought they could, but I feel like I've just never seen it happen. Market going up. Just obviously probably just to get the woodworking technology in. Very important on the water maps. Barracks is down here as well. Scout ships are coming out now for both players. And no plays on the land from either player, so Pume is just shaking hands and going, yeah, we'll take this to the water, which I must say is brave against the Minoans, even as the Yamato. Like I said, obviously the Yamato is still very strong water civ, but I think it's just generally agreed on that the Minoans are a cut above the rest. Archery range going down, just I guess for just a second building. Get Blackwoltz already has the food to go to Bronze Age. Pume a little bit behind, still doesn't have any buildings from the Tool Age just yet, and is a little bit short on resources. Scout ships are coming around now, but plenty of scout ships ready to receive. No woodworking actually out just yet. Maybe now that Blackwoltz has clicked up, maybe we'll see that tech come in. But I don't think it's out for either player. Yeah, we go. Woodworking coming in now. And Pume still doesn't have any buildings down from this age. They're coming down now. Market and stable. Nearly has the food required to go up. But Blackwoltz, yeah, nearly about sort of 35-ish%, 40% now. The way to Bronze Age already, where that cheaper discount bonus on the ships just gets ever more powerful. Obviously the Yamato HP bonus also scales up with age. We have 5 ships to 6, woodworking already in, and Pume doesn't have that himself just yet. And now it comes. So I suspect Blackwoltz, maybe he's just going to wait for warship to come in, not warship, war galley upgrade to come in, and then potentially would go for push. But actually, they may be forcing the affair. Needs to run away though, definitely outnumbered. And there we go, Bronze Age, quite a bit earlier than his opponent there. Fishing ship upgrade, war galley upgrade, and Blackwoltz is exactly where he wants to be on this map. Start collecting gold on the land. So once maybe he's shored himself up on the water, we'll see the transition into compies on the land in due time. Actually, some bowmen are still being created, interestingly. Maybe just to do a little bit of exploring. And this club is actually going to get annihilated. Did manage to, well, does spot his opponent's base here. So Pume does know where Blackwoltz is now, but he's not in any immediate position to take advantage of that. And Pume doesn't really have the resources he needs. He's only just getting war galley now, and like I said, Blackwoltz going to feel pretty happy to push out. And he is outnumbered here, but I think the war galley upgrade is just strong enough that that doesn't really matter. Despite the Yamato bonus, you can see the HP total is a lot higher, but actually Blackwoltz decides to just pull back for the time being, Just adding extra TCs, or just the one. Oh no, they don't have a TC there. A little bit awkwardly placed, that one. I think I would have just deleted the storage pit and put a town centre where it was. Another dock coming down for Pume. The war galley upgrade is nearly in now. I think they're both still only on the +1 wood upgrade. I don't see have +2 even. Yeah, Pume is just a little bit strapped for food at the moment. 52 eco to the 41. I mean, if Pume can get a fight right here, right now, that would work pretty well for him. Blackwoltz had kind of stopped production on the water. This should be an easy fight for Pume. And maybe Blackwoltz getting a little bit complacent. It's like I said, he's adding in the extra TCs. He's kind of giving away control of the water. And this is going to be quite a big momentum swing for Pume. So, yeah, maybe a little bit lax. Villagers are going to be forced to run now, and this is the problem with having a lot of your eco on the waterline, is if you do lose control of the water, you immediately lose a lot of control of your eco as well. Fishing ships all going running, and suddenly what looked like a fairly comfortable game for Blackwoltz feels a little bit uneasy. Pume taking the score lead, and he's actually got some cavalry out in the field. His opponent, I mean, most of his eco is behind these wood lines, but if the war galleys can flush him out. Reinforcements haven't been sent on the water though, and this has given Blackwoltz a little bit of time to reinforce. A bit of a fight breaks out here. Pume takes a few extra arrows more than he maybe should have done. Marto bonus probably helping out quite a bit here. And yeah, still no reinforcements on the water. So it looks like that's going to be fended off, but the cavalry are in now. Aston ship coming in. And now this is going to be a little bit struggled. Improved bowman being researched now, but obviously that research has to finish before you can start making a single unit. And this is open. War galleys are there, so I think Blackwoltz should be able to hold this, but he is going to lose a handful of villagers. And maybe Blackwoltz, like I said, just maybe a little bit too comfortable in his position. Getting a little bit punished for this now. Pume still making cavalry and war galleys. And he does actually have the Vil lead now. Not one, the eco lead, because I think, yeah, because he'd stopped making war galleys, but made a whole load of fishing ships. So actually, I was thinking Blackwoltz was just going to have civ advantage and carry this away. But Pume getting that good engage on the water has left him in quite a nice position. It's quite a big mass of war galleys needs to come and couple up here. Pume needs to be careful not to just lose all of these ships. But yeah, the cavalry still being very annoying, trying to repair the houses. I think I would have preferred to see another house or wall come up behind. Blackwoltz is going to lose these villages here. Now wall goes, yeah, that should have been the response in the first place. A handful of villages do get picked off. And this game's starting to get a little bit messy now. Another wave of war galleys comes out, and Blackwoltz's war galleys a little bit out of position. A few fishing ships could go down here. Obviously they're pretty fast, so it's quite easy to run with the fishing ships. But even if they survive, that's obviously the time that they're not gathering resources. A few more villages being picked off here, and I think Pume may be in a very strong position to potentially carry this game over. Still a good number of war galleys from Blackwoltz, but Pume has the resources to go to Iron Age now. He just needs another building. Temple is coming up. Cavalry just getting picks here, there, and everywhere. And I almost can't believe we've got to this position we're in. But yeah, war guy's going to come from the other side now. There's not many of them left, but there's enough to obviously pick off those defenseless fishing ships. Iron Age is coming in, and potentially we just see Horse Archer start being massed by Pume when he hits that Iron Age. More war galleys coming in as well. I'm sure the trireme upgrade will be coming in as well. And just remembered the scoreboard. And yeah, huge value from these war galleys. And I think, wow, I'm almost like speechless. Paused. Maybe that will give me a chance to mentally regroup myself. But yeah, Pume has got an absolutely massive push from the water here. And like I said, Blackwoltz just, I don't know, he just stopped making war galleys, just started committing to going for the boom. And that's majorly caught him with his pants down, so to speak. It does clear up the war galleys on the north side. It's 20 war galleys to 26 though, and these are Yamato, sorry, just a little skip, it's just when they pause, the capture age goes a little bit buggy. But Yamato war galleys, and Blackwoltz has not been able to use that cheaper bonus to get a numbers advantage. And Blackwoltz doesn't need to back off here, I don't think. It's always a little bit hard to tell when the numbers are this high, but it's easy for me to show you that he has a clear advantage here. We do see a bit of a push on the land now, though. I actually hadn't seen the composite bowman mass build up. That's one of the problems with when you go to the Iron Age. Sometimes you stop making the Bronze Age units because you want to think about transitioning. Archery ranges are only just being dropped now, so but yeah, Horse Archer is going to be the play. Good number of composite bowmen, though. Maybe make this awkward. And we may see the complete flip reverse of like Blackwoltz not having enough military on the water and losing that there. And now Pume not having enough units on the land. But should be able to win the fight on the water still. Trireme not actually going to come in before this fight gets decided. Composite bowman coming through. I don't know if Pume has nobility, actually. I don't think I've seen that tech come through just yet. No, it doesn't have that just yet. Would be nice to just make those units a little bit more tanky. And yeah, Pume just needs to get that stack of Horse Archers up to deal with 25 compies and a whole load of them flooding forward. So, still trapped in the Bronze Age, but those Minoan composite bowmen are no joke. And Pume forced a lot of his, you can see that dashed line there's all his idle vills. Horse Archer does jump out now though, and needs the ballistics in to really push home his Iron Age advantage. But yeah, Trireme is in now, so Blackwoltz has lost most control of this. I mean, the fishing ships a bit inefficient where they are, but they're still working, although that's now going to get shut down. But we're focusing on the land now. 56 composite bowmen to just the 10 Horse Archers. Ballistics is now in. Pume maybe needs to consider trying to get a siege workshop down. And yeah, the one downside of the Horse Archers is they're not particularly tanky, and it's going to lose a lot of units there. Like I said, nobility would help a fraction there, but obviously it's just a percentage of health. Siege Workshop's going down now, and it's just going to be a huge throw from Blackwoltz. Like I said, he didn't make... Oh wow, he just called GG. What an unbelievable game that was. And yeah, Iron Age, he just stopped making units. Like he could have, I think maybe that was EA. Probably should have just kept tension. That is the Hittites. So we have the battle of the chariot archer civs. As I've said before, I just think the Hittites is just better version of the Assyrians. Blackwoltz actually also committing to going for those center elephants, so he's going to get that. I imagine. He's a little bit off the mark. There we go, finds them now. And he's actually going to find one of the outer elephants as well. So he's going to have 3 elephants to start with, and already a very nice position for Blackwoltz. Pume may find this elephant here, but if he commits to the center, he's obviously not going to find those elephants now. In fact, he's done the classic one-tile miss. It's possible that he does come back past it though, but yeah, obviously he's going to be found wanting, and this is the issue with, like I was saying on Sahara in the last series. If you go for the center of the map and your opponent's not has already gone there, it's a lot of idle villager time. It kind of looks like Pume is actually just going to keep sending this villager forward, so maybe it is trying to just scout for his opponent at this point. Getting a little bit lost around the pools, and has his elephant at home to use the time being, and he has pushed the gazelle towards that pit, which is actually quite nicely on the stone as well, if the stone becomes relevant. But the villager is coming back now, curiously, so unfortunately he has just done the classic one-tile miss on the elephant there. And Blackwoltz is just going to have the advantage of 3 extra elephants, as well as his 2 ones at home, which it looks like he's found one of them. He may find the other if he does a bit more exploration. And be interesting to see if the players actually think about going for fast bronze, because they're both playing civs. I mean, well, actually, Pume's just going 20 pop-up, so that answers that. But they're both playing civs that aren't like the strongest in the earlier phase of the game. So, and like I said, this is a map where you're quite far, usually quite near the edge of the map, so quite far from your opponent. So it would have been interesting to see if either of the players was brave enough to try and go for fast bronze. Obviously that would leave you somewhat exposed to potential scout raids and such. But neither of these civs too good at supporting a scout rush, just because their economies are both fairly weak. So going scouts would definitely delay any attempt to then go to the Bronze Age afterwards. 22 Vils is the count for Blackwoltz though. Barracks going up at home for Pume. And Blackwoltz actually putting his storage pit down on one of those slightly thicker tree lines in the centre of the map, which does leave you a little bit more vulnerable, but Blackwoltz feeling confident enough to do that. Barracks coming down as well. And Clubber is coming out. Archery range as well though, so it doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't feel like either player's in a mad rush to get anything done, which like again was why I was contemplating whether or not it would be good to try and go for a fast bronze. Just the second archery range actually from Pume, and that indicates usually that you're committing more to the Bronze Age, where Small Wall is in for Blackwoltz, and this is one of the harder maps to wall. Though it may be, actually looks like he's just going to try and wall off this centre area of the map. Yeah, he's going to wall behind that. Villager is there ready. He's going to need another block there, that's fine. So maybe he's just going to try and make himself like a little bubble here. Clubman going to be a little bit annoying, get a few whacks onto the house. Axe upgrade is coming in, but this is a very slow push onto his opponent here. And again, like I said, there's just a large distance between the two players, which is why the good scout civs tend to be the stronger civs on this map. And Blackwoltz is going double archery and triple archery range actually, which is interesting. Obviously neither civ gets access to the slinger, so this is probably just going to be big ball of bowman against big ball of bowman, so triple archery range is not a bad shout. And then, like I said, I think I just prefer the +1 attack on the Hittites to the bonus attack speed of this. Well, it just is mathematically stronger. I guess you could argue with the Hittites, you could be a little bit more prone to overkill if you're like right-clicking to attack. But if you just let your bowmen free fire, because I think the bonus is only 22% for the Assyrians in the Tool Age, whereas the +1 damage on bowmen is essentially like a 33% damage increase for the Hittite bowmen, and that's maths. But the units are still sort of flooding forward, but I think a couple of these guys are going to just get picked out straight away. Actually, that was good reaction by Pume, but not quick enough to save the Axa. But I feel like Axa's not really going to be doing much of anything in a Hittite versus Assyrian matchup. Like I said, bowmen are just going to be the order of the day. That bowman is, for all intents and purposes, out of the game. We do see a little bit of a raid, but plenty of bowmen in defence. And 34 Vils to 31 as well. So Blackwoltz in a pretty handy spot though. The elephants are starting to run out now, whereas yeah, obviously Pume forced onto the farms earlier just because he didn't have as many elephants as his opponent. But we are going to see a little bit of a push from Blackwoltz now. I'm a little bit surprised. I think that's going to be mostly down to exploration. Yeah, Blackwoltz hasn't explored much of the map. I was going to say I was a little bit surprised by the score difference there. Considering we like KD is 7-0 in Blackwoltz's favour. He's ahead on Vils, ahead on military count. And this could be big damage, but Pume is in the vicinity. And it'd be interesting to see if Blackwoltz just tries to get damage on the Vils done. Now, yes, he picked off a couple of Vils there, but he is now going to lose all the bows. So that does even up the military count. But Blackwoltz, 9 villages ahead now. About 9.5 villages ahead, more or less. And it's going to be interesting to see if the players do just keep committing to the Tool Age, or if one of the players tries to just sneak their way up to Bronze. It feels like, yeah, it's triple. Ooh, that was a misclick for sure. Please press for the button again, Blackwoltz. There we go. Little bit of a mistake with the garrison and garrison. Watchtower in for Pume, which is actually not a bad shout. Again, your neither Civ get slingers, which is the best way of dealing with. That's classic that we're not on conquest victory, but hopefully that isn't a factor. But a large number of bows coming forward, and despite, yeah, okay, towers coming down on this side of the map. So it's going to defend the wood line here, but the farms are all going to be forced idle, and the bows are all forward. Actually, they're going to find the berry workers, so actually some damage is going to be done by Pume here. Blackwoltz only just notices now after losing 6-7 Vils there, but 15 Vils forced idle. Another tower goes up on the stone, and Pume's going to have to start building more bows from base. Got no villagers on food at the moment. He does see berry patches, so if he was feeling brave, he doesn't see the berries there. It could be a good shout to try and run the villagers out to a berry patch though. But a lot of villagers going down there. A few villagers getting, bowmen getting picked off there by the tower. That villager's definitely going to die though. And still 10 Vils inside. A little bit of a fight going on here. High ground for Pume. Maybe able to, nah, probably won't be able to win that now. It's quite close back and forth though. And still the eco advantage grows for Blackwoltz. But again, the score's still relatively close, which I feel is not an accurate portrayal of the current position of the game. Blackwoltz definitely has a large advantage here. And that'll reset the timer on the ruins, thankfully. Bowman mass 13-6 in favour of Blackwoltz here. And +1 in for both players. A little bit of high ground for Blackwoltz. Looks like Pume is kind of trying to pull his opponent off that though. And actually a fairly good little bit of micro back and forward, just dodging some of the arrow shots. And Blackwoltz not any micro to speak of. It's going to lose the trade there. And that, again, even things up on the military front, but still Blackwoltz stretching that eco lead. And potentially Pume can take this with a high ground advantage, but okay, just too many bows for Blackwoltz, and he did a nice job of working his way up the hillside there. And oh dear, 2 bows left, 17 Vils the advantage, and now it looks like Blackwoltz is starting to get to the point where we're probably going to see the Bronze Age being clicked in still soon. More archery ranges are going down, but I feel like it would be worth letting off the gas a little bit in terms of production. Obviously it's easy for me to say that when I can see that Blackwoltz has a very sizable lead. Yeah, 800 food up to Bronze Age we go, and then the Hittites, Chariot Archers, gonna be the order of the day. That wheel gonna come in that little bit quickly for the Hittites, and I don't think there's really much Pume is going to be able to do about this. He is probably going to be able to click Bronze Age himself fairly soon, but he's just, I think, just too far behind on the villager count at this point. He's going to lose an engage here. So yeah, Pume did get a couple of good engages in the early Tool Age, but Blackwoltz definitely getting the better of him in these last couple of engagements. And so, I mean, it's not all over yet. Like I said, that last game on Continental was pretty crazy back and forth, but that's 7 archery ranges that are going to be up and available. Maybe a little bit overkill. I don't think Blackwoltz has the eco to quite support that many archery ranges, but it does mean that initial flood of Chariot Archers is going to come out pretty quickly. And like I said, Pume on the way to Bronze Age himself now, but it's going to be, he's just going to be behind on basically all respects. I guess maybe if you can get the Sentry Tower upgrade in, that could hold a little bit longer, but I feel like it's just a delaying of the inevitable, just because of, again, how far Blackwoltz is ahead on eco. And it even has the bowman patrolling the flank there, where the villager hasn't had a chance to wall up, and these villagers, bowmen, sorry, just going to easily get taken down as the villagers plugs up the wall. And wheel in a whole bunch of Chariot Archers in the queue. Like I said, 7 archery ranges. Bronze Age does come in from Pume. Wheel click straight away. But you can just see like 1,200 food still in the bank for Blackwoltz. Just, yeah, needs to get a few more villagers on the wood. But yeah, and the other thing is as well is Hittites get nobility on their Chariot Archers, whereas the Assyrians just don't. I don't think that's really going to be a factor at this point though, just because of how far ahead Blackwoltz is now. Yeah, you can see in the score difference, it's nearly 1,000 points ahead. A couple of villagers may go down here, but the wheel is actually in, so villagers just going to be able to dodge away fairly easily. 24 bows still, in fact 29 bows still in play from the Tool Age. Like I said, we have these towers. Sentry Tower hasn't been researched, it's coming in now. Should be in just about in time. But I don't think they're really going to be able to do enough to hold at this point. And a few bows just chilling. Actually, Blackwoltz does notice those, decides to take them out. So Sentry Tower is in, but so are the Chariot Archers. Villagers going to be forced to run. Some of them can, of course, hide in the towers. the GG is just called, and yeah, like it was a 27-minute game, but I feel like that game was probably over for some time, and unfortunately another 3-0.